Hi everyone, welcome back to today's video. For today, I'm going to be showing you how to create this absolutely adorable little treat box using our little treat box bundle, our little treats stamp set, and our little treat box dies. Whew, that was a lot of little treats and boxes all in one sentence. So I'm really excited to show you guys this. I think this is actually what I'm going to be making for Halloween coming up to pass out candy. I'm actually going to be having an event at my house on Halloween, so I think I may just like slowly put a bunch of these out on my patio and let trick-or-treaters come and grab them off of my doorstep. I think that's what I'm going to do. I haven't fully decided, but they are absolutely adorable and they are like the perfect size to do something like that. So I am really excited to show you guys how I made this today. So I know it's going to be a little difficult to see just because it's on black cardstock. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys just so I can kind of show you what we're doing today. So I'm going to show you how to make the little treat box here, and this is embossed using the Cobwebs 3D embossing folder. So I'm going to show you the easiest way that I have found to emboss this little treat box die. And then we have some little spiders on here in our black glimmer paper that really spice it up. And then some of our little embellishments with this little tag that says, Happy, Happy Halloween. And you could do these in a bunch of different colors really easily. And like I said, and then just leave them out on your doorstep, or you could pass them out also for people to come pick up. So let's go ahead and jump into starting to create this project. So as I was saying, we're going to be using both the Little Treats stamp set and the Little Treats box dies. The stamp set, we're only using that Happy, Happy Halloween stamp from it. So if you had another Halloween stamp and you just wanted to get the dies, you could absolutely do that. Or if you have another treat box die or something like a pattern where you don't even need dies, you could absolutely do the same thing. So we're going to use quite a few of these dies. So we're obviously going to use the treat box. We're going to use this little tag here. And then we are also going to use the little spider. I love the little spider. I think it's awesome. So to start out, we are going to use a piece of basic black cardstock. Now this is cut at about 7.5 by 6 inches, and it's the perfect size for this die. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, as I was saying before, I got so rudely interrupted. This paper size I find is a really good size to use with this die. You can see there's not a lot of excess on the sides. You could scrunch it down a little bit more. I just find that it's a really good size to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room with this die. So I'm going to bring in my cut and emboss machine. And I'm going to grab my plates. So I am going to be using my magnetic base. Again, this is a project that you don't necessarily, or this piece of the project, I should say, is one that you don't necessarily have to use your magnetic base with, but I find that it works pretty well. So just to show you my sandwich, so I have 1, 2, 5. I'm then going to put my die and paper down. And then I have 1, 3 on top. So that is my sandwich for this one. And I'm just going to now crank this through. And I will tell you guys, I know I did an initial review on the cut and emboss machine, and I talked about how easy it is to crank through projects like that. That's a difficult kind of die to stamp through or to cut through, mainly because it's so large. It's not that it's like really big or bulky or anything, but it's just a very large die, and I didn't really have any issues. It cuts through like a dream. So when I really said before that I really liked the cut and emboss because of how easy it was, I really do mean it. A tool to just have that might be kind of handy for this project in its entirety is the Take Your Pick tool. So I am just going to very quickly pop out these little doodads here, brush them off to the side. And so then you also have a little slit here and a little slit here. There's nothing in there to pop out, just note that you have little slits there. So I'm going to continue on with how we're going to do this little box. So the next piece that I'm going to do, so if you were to take your embossing folder, you can see that it doesn't all fit in the embossing folder. And so I had to figure out, like, what is the best way to go about embossing this, right? How do I get all of that beautifulness onto my little piece here? So I chunk this out basically and break it into a few different pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unfold all of the sides up. I just find this makes it a lot easier when you go to fully assemble your box. And I lost my bone folder. It's somewhere around here, I'm sure of it. there it is. I just find that it makes it a lot easier when you go to fully assemble your box, that you have all of the sides nice and creased already. I just think it makes it easier, especially because after you emboss over it, it makes it a little difficult to see where those kind of crease lines are to fold up on. So there is that. One more. Perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is you want to make sure that you have your box oriented the right way. I like to have the embossing folder, so where it's raised, I want that on the bottom. You can also look wherever your Stampin' Up! Logo is, have that on the top. And then you want to make sure that you just orient your piece the same way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one side and I'm going to fold it in just like that. And then I am going to put the other side into my machine. Okay. And you can see now that that fits just perfectly into my cut and emboss machine. So I do need to change my sandwich because we are doing an embossing folder. So you're gonna have plate number one. Here, I'll turn them this way. So you're gonna have plate number one. And then because this is a 3D folder, you're gonna put your folder directly onto your cutting platform. And then you're going to use number 4 right on top. Sorry, my watch thinks that I'm talking to it. And then you're going to crank this through. And now we have that little piece perfectly embossed. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to fold this side in. I'm going to stick this piece into my embossing folder. Number 1, embossing folder and piece of paper. And number 4. Now, again, you could just put this in and do it kind of twice, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. If you guys have been around for projects before, you know I am very particular on how I emboss things, how I kind of put things together. So you very well could just kind of fold it up and stick it in here, or do it like that, and then sorry, I'm trying to find the best way to show you. You could do it like that and then go in and emboss this little piece here. Probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. You could make that the back. Like I said, if y'all have been around before, I just didn't want to do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold down these little tabs here. And again, I'm now going to stick this in just like that. So that's what it looks like now in my embossing folder. 1, sorry, 1 folder, 4 on top. Sorry, I swear, I think the dogs think that there's like someone trying to break into our house or something. I don't know. They're very good watchdogs. I've mentioned this before, but sometimes they can be a little crazy. So then I'm going to do the exact same thing with this top piece over here. I'm not worrying about this middle section that ends up being on the bottom because it's on the bottom. So I'm not super worried about it. But now I am going to put this in here, put number 4 on top. And like I said, yes, am I making this way more complicated than it absolutely needs to be? I am. Okay, so now I'm convinced that they think that when I put my stuff through the machine and it kind of makes that pushing sound at the very end, I think they think that that's somebody trying to come into the house. What I was saying is that, yes, I am probably making this way more complicated than it needs to be. But if you're somebody like me where you really like things to be a certain way, that's a way that you can do the embossing to make it look really nice and pretty. So I'm going to set that off to the side. So that is our little box now. That is all done. We're going to assemble this in a little bit, but I'm going to take it and set it off to the side because I do want to get the rest of our die cutting work done, just so we can then assemble. So I have 2 pieces here. I'm going to focus on the Melon Mambo piece for just a second. I'm going to use my StazOn ink, and I am going to use that little stamp that we looked at earlier that says Happy Happy Halloween, and I'm just going to stamp that right in the center of my piece of Melon Mambo. This is just a scrap I have. It doesn't have to be very large at all. It's just large enough to cut out this little tag here. And then I have my piece of black glimmer paper. So I am going to take my little spider here, and I'm going to put it on the black glimmer paper, and then I'm going to take this little tag and I'm going to center it in this, center it around the sentiment that we just stamped. This is where the magnetic cutting plate comes in really handy, because I don't have to like use washi tape. I don't have to get really crazy with it. I can use my magnetic plate to help keep the die right where I want it. And I will show you that here in 2.5 seconds. So again, 1, 2, 5, and then my project on top. So I put this down and it just keeps it right where I want it. It's a magnet, right? So now I can put this down and I can position it exactly where I want it to be around my little sentiment there, just like that. And then I'm going to take my number 3 and put that right on top. And let's test out my theory. If the dogs think that when I use my machine, it is somebody at my house. Let's see. Are they going to bark? They didn't, but I was also a lot quieter with that one than I was with the other. So that could also be part of it too. So what I will say about the spider is you may need to run this through a couple times. And I actually forgot, because I designed this project a couple days ago. I forgot that you do probably need to run it through a couple of times. If you forget, it's actually okay. And I'm actually kind of glad that I did this. So, if you ever run into this issue where you go to cut something out and you take the die off and you're like, oh shoot, that didn't cut all the way through. Most of the time you at least have an impression. So you can kind of feel around and you'll actually feel the die lock into place where it had already kind of started cutting. So all you have to do is bring your machine and your sandwich back in. Maybe, there we go. Just like that, put my number 3 on top and crank it through. And I mean, the spider is so small that if you happen to not be able to line it back up, you just grab another little scrap. You don't need much paper for this little spider. So I just ran it through an extra 2 times. And now when I pull this out, yes, now it pulls out really, really nice and easily. There is a little bit here in between these legs that I find that normally get stuck, but other than that, it comes out super, super easily. So I showed you how to do 1 spider. I actually did a total of 3 spiders because that's what I liked on this project, but do as many or as little as you would like. So I'm going to take those and set those off to the side for a moment as well, because we are going to start assembling our little box here. So you will see that there is a little tab, there's a slit here, and then there is a tab here. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to be using Stampin' Seal Plus because I want to make sure this stays really nice and secure. I'm going to put a little bit of that adhesive on that tab, and I'm doing that on the front side, so the pretty side. I am then going to, and if I'm going to fold that back for just a second, I am then going to put the tab side on top, and I'm going to slide it into that little slit. Line up my edges, so I want this edge and this edge to be as straight as possible, and then I'm just going to pinch right there with my finger. And that's going to get our box in place. So then I'm going to do the exact same thing on this other side over here where that little tab is. I'm going to just put some adhesive there. Fold that back for just a second. I'm going to slide that tab into the slit. Just like that. Make sure this is nice and straight and then pinch it with my fingers. So that is the base of our box, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold up this side here, and I'm just going to eyeball whereabouts I think the 2 pieces meet. So I think they meet about here, so I'm going to put some adhesive under where my finger is. And I find that this is the easiest way to do it. I did it by putting adhesive on this piece and then trying to build it all together, and I don't find that it works as well. So I just kind of eyeball it. You actually don't need a bunch of adhesive to keep this together. So I just eyeball it on this little flap here and then fold it up. You want to make sure these edges here match up as nicely as possible. And then again, I just put my fingers on the inside and I pinch it down. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to fold it up. I'm going to eyeball that it's about there. So I'm going to put some adhesive down there, bring it in, get it as straight as possible, and then put my fingers in there and press down to make sure that it is nice and flat and secure. So that is really the basis of our little box. That's how you create these little boxes, whether you're doing it for Halloween like I'm showing you, or whether you want to use it for another kind of design. That is how you do the little boxes. Super, super easy to do. I swear you can crank these out in literally no time. So what I want to do next is, let's just build all of our little embellishments. So I have these little spiders here, and I have, I have my iridescent pearls. If you didn't get in on it, this was actually my freebie for the month of September. So if you placed an order in my online shop, you actually got these completely free. So I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to stick one in the center of each of the spiders. I just think it gives it something a little extra. Just like that. You don't have to, but I liked them and I really wanted to use them. So I figured that would be a really nice way to use those up. And then we're going to take our little box here. I'm going to take my mini dimensionals. I'm going to flip these guys over. One thing that I did want to note with these spider, and here I'll show you guys with the little die. So there is actually some detail in the spider. So if you cut this out of just regular paper, you're going to get this like little scroll that's embossed into your paper with your die. Because I used glimmer paper and it's thicker paper and it has the glitter, you don't really get to see this. But just a note that if you do use this die with just regular paper, you'll also get a little bit of an embellishment. Or a little embossing is really what it is on your spiders. So I'm going to use mini dimensionals on the back. Put one on each of these little guys, just like so. I think the dog's finally settled down, which is a good sign. It's a good sign. And then I'm going to take the backings off of these. And then we're going to place them onto our little treat box. Now, I did 3. You know, if you've ever looked into design or anything like that, odd numbers are more appealing to the eye. So I would say try to stick in something like that. But also at the same time, just do what you think looks best. Do what you think is right. 3, I think, fit really nicely on the box, which is also why I did 3. I think 4 may be a little bit too much. But go for it. Try it out and see. Let's turn this one like that. Perfect. So you can see my little spiders now. Awesome. So I have my little tag here. I'm going to pop out that little piece. And then I'm going to bring in, this is the, what is this called? This is our metallic mesh ribbon. I love this stuff. It is fantastic. Seriously, love this so much. I want to do something, and I was actually playing with this, and I was trying to make it fit on the box, and I was like, no, Lindsay, just let it go. But you can actually pull this a bit and stretch it out quite a bit, and it kind of looks like a spider web. So I want to do something with that. I don't exactly know what or how I want to do it yet, but I am for sure going to do that. Like, mark my word, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to take a piece of this. You don't need a very big piece. This is actually probably too much, and I'm just going to snip it off. I'm going to go ahead and fold this. Now you could do one of two things. You can either cut this in half because it's a pretty wide ribbon. You don't actually need this much to close up these little boxes. I like the look of it doubled over, so I'm going to keep it doubled, but you can absolutely cut it in half. It'll double the product for you also. So you'll get double the ribbon out of, more bang for your buck. That's what I'm trying to say. So I just slid it through the top 2 little slits here. And then I'm going to take my little tag and I'm going to slide it through my little tag. Just like that. If you're going to put candy in there, which I am going to do, you should put candy in before you put the ribbon on, which I almost forgot. So I'm going to put just some little candies in here. Just like so. Those actually may be a little too much. So maybe only, actually, can I fit these 2 in? Let's see. Let's see how much this little box can hold. Yeah, so 2 little crunch bars fit in there pretty nicely. So then again, I'm just gonna do that up. And then I didn't get fancy with my ribbon here. I just tied it like that. So I am gonna knot it so that it stays nice and shut. One trick is if you grab your little tails and then pinch the knot and kind of pull, that'll help your tails stand up a little bit more. I'm going to trim these just a hair, just because I don't want them to be so long. And then one thing that I noticed is that I didn't really like this kind of flopping around. So on my sample here, I actually used a glue dot to stick it down so you can see it doesn't move. This one, I'm just going to let it be, but if you wanted to put a glue dot on there to keep it in one particular place, you could absolutely do that. But that's it, you guys. That's our little treat boxes for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and hope you consider maybe like making these if you know some kids. I know some kids are going back to school, and so you can have little treats. I don't know what the rules around that are right now, so definitely look into that, but if you're going to have trick-or-treaters or anything like that, this may be a really, really good option, like I said, to leave out on your front porch or something like that, so that you can still give the kids a little treat, but it doesn't have to be, it can be a little bit more contactless. So I really hope you guys are enjoying today's video. As always, you can purchase all of the products that I talked about 24/7 just by going to littlemooncreation.stampinup.net. You can also visit the coordinating blog post, which is the first link in the description box below. That'll give you all of the specific paper sizes I use, specific tools, products, all of that good stuff. Or you can just go to littlemooncreation.com, which is just my website, and you can see a bunch of stuff just by going there. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's project, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!